We are live here on LinkedIn land. I believe we're live here on YouTube. We're live on my recording of Zoom, all the fun places. Welcome to my weekly live, which is also my recording for Courageous and Free with Jacquelyn Mack. It's my podcast. So if you haven't gotten familiar with that, please go check it out. It's where I dish up all the good things of living the yes and the life by design, as well as sales, tactics, tools, modalities to master your momentum in sales, but also to master your decision making. So this is for my business owners, my closers, my sales teams, anybody who just wants to up level in life. Like, let's face it, if you are a recovering high performer like me or a current high performer, we're constantly seeking that growth and expansion into excellence, right? So let's hop right in. I want to just kind of recap. It's the end of February, right? And if you haven't, go grab the power prompts. Power prompts, power prompts, power prompts. What am I going to guarantee with the power prompts? 7 prompts, 20 minutes will reactivate, if not give you all the clarity and confidence you need to know what March will be. And March is going to be all about momentum and how I went from a make it happen mama to now a momentum mama and have a lot more grace and space and freedom and fulfillment than I did many, many years ago when I thought I was totally rocking it and crushing it in life. Right? So today's topic is all about the missing piece to success. And Tony Robbins said it best, right? He said, success without fulfillment is failure. And I believe that for many, many years. But to me, success without fulfillment just isn't success. And I've failed many, many times over and found fulfillment during the process because I didn't know I was going to quote unquote fail while I was doing the thing. And if the result was not what I wanted, which most people would call failure, but yet I still enjoyed the journey, the cycle, the process, the experience, that's fulfillment. Then why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? Why would I take all of that away because of an end result and I could do again? Right. So when we talk about this missing piece to success, it is fulfillment and why fulfillment matters more than anything out there. And my people know that at the end of the day, what's the point of all of life? What's the point of all of business if fulfillment isn't your intention? If fulfillment in my life is my intention, then it's also going to be my intention in my business because how we do anything is how we do everything. And I know this wholeheartedly because I used to schedule. I used to be so freaking efficient. I mean, I'm still pretty efficient and I love helping others become efficient, but where I scheduled everything to the T, I mean, all the way down to how long I could take to get my morning lemon water and meditate and walk and stretch and work out and breathe, basically, which I do practice somatic breathing. Highly recommend it. But it's like I noticed that I was so structured because I wanted to experience it all that even when I would plan a girls' night, it was like I was preparing for like, okay, how long was I going to be at this dinner? And what did I want to ask Lysandra? And what did I want to ask Clary? And how was Rachel doing with this? And like, it was almost like too planned. I left no space for spontaneity, for synchronicities, for what people would call coincidences. But to me, there's no such thing as a coincidence. It's a synchronicity. It's a rendezvous. Like at the end of the day, it's what is supposed to happen. And so many times we block ourselves from that because we're so structured, because we're so efficient of old ways of being, because that's what allowed me to quote unquote be successful, but start to lose the most important piece, fulfillment. Now, don't get me wrong. I was fulfilled in pockets, but it was like, how could I create this consistency of experiencing fulfillment through it all? So why am I bringing this up today? Because my whole goal and purpose in life, because of burning out twice in my professional career, of closing over 31 million personally behind $100 million brands, starting out in corporate health and wellness, but spent majority of my sales career in the high ticket premium space here in the online service providing space. And I've loved it. It's been a rodeo of a time and it will forever be because it changes so fast. And my personality, I embrace discomfort and change and growth. I find fulfillment in it when I allow myself adequate recovery, right? That's the thing, when we allow and we prioritize that. So finding fulfillment is one thing, but creating it on a consistent basis with intention is another. So that's what I call return on investment, being the new version, return on intention, ROI. Are you intentional with your fulfillment in life? Are you intentional with having fun on a sales call? Are you intentional with having fun with outreach and connecting with new people? And you never know what that one conversation will lead to. Every single call I get on, I am stoked. I'm like, there's going to be a whole new world of opportunity and personality and potentiality when I talk to this other person. And I cannot wait to get to see what's possible, whether they decide to work with me or not. I can't wait to see what's possible. I truly, truly feel that, right? That's my state of being. That's what allows these calls to be fulfilling for me. Because most people are like, I don't love sales. I don't like lead generation. I just want to do my thing. I just want to deliver my service. I just want to be the most amazing coach or consultant. I just want to run my agency this way and it be consistent. And I want to be able to celebrate 40K months and not know if the next month's going to be 40K or not. These are the things my clients are saying to me when they first start working with me. And I'm like, okay, so how are we going to flip the script? What if it was consistent? What if it was better than you ever? What if you could enjoy this? What if you just did? What would it look like? What would it feel like? Well, I wouldn't be doing it at all. Okay, well, that's not the question. What would it look like? What would it feel like if you were doing it your way? How would it look? How would it feel? Don't do it my way. And this is the part where I love, like it never gets old to me having these really critical, uncomfortable conversations to be like, yeah, every strategy out there works. But what one do you align with? Which one feels good to you? Or can we take a little bit of this one and a little bit of that one and now morph into your own? And this is what's going to make you different. This is what's going to make you stand out. This is what's going to help you deframe and reframe in your clients' or prospects' eyes. And they're not having the sales radar up through all the conversations that you're having. And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but I think it's really important to understand because we get to choose. We get to choose how our fulfillment feels and how we experience it. We get to choose just like what we're disciplined in. And discipline to me is freedom, where most people, when I ask in a room or on a call or on a training, how many of you love the word discipline? I raise my hand and people raise their hand because I raise my hand. But if I don't raise my hand when I ask that question, very few people raise their hand. And I say, well, why? Why do you love discipline? They're like, because I'm getting what I want and I don't really love doing it though. Okay, well, that means we don't have a healthy relationship with the word discipline, right? How can we have a healthy relationship with that word? What does that word really mean to you? I have to do the hard things. Does it mean you always have to do only the hard things? Because I don't think it's very hard to eat chocolate, and I'm disciplined in eating chocolate every day. And it fulfills me on so many levels. I love it. It tastes great. I feel good when I eat it. Now, am I eating a whole bag? No, but I'm disciplined in eating it because I choose to prioritize what I'm disciplined in, just as like I'm disciplined in walking. And do I do it because it's hard? No, but some days I don't want to because there's other things. I want to jump into my desk and I want to download everything that just I dreamt of or came to me when I was meditating, right? And instead I go on my walk and I know it's still going to be there, right? Because I'm disciplined in it. And I know on the walk, more is going to come to surface. I'm going to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey because that's the real gift here. If you get anything out of this today, that's the real gift here. And we get to have it in both business and life. We get to. We don't have to. And most of us won't because the number one regret on deathbed is living out other people's expectations and not living out your own. And that hit me hard at 18 and I didn't even realize it when I lost the love of my life to a car accident. And now that was the love of my life at that age, 18, up until then. Now the love of my life is my husband, Justin, and he has been for, since 2005, so almost 20 years. Different love, but an amazing love. And now we have love for our two beautiful children. And I get to create, I get to experience, I get to be intentional with the love and the fulfillment and the joy and the bliss. So I'm going to get into the nitty gritty here. So you have something to walk away with, especially for my agency owners, my business owners, my coaches, my consultants, my premium closers out there. This is for you. And now this whole month, I spoke about selling or being sold on limiting beliefs. You're either selling or being sold on your limiting beliefs or on your prospects' limiting beliefs. And if you don't really understand that, go back and listen to the other episodes. So at the end of the day, we also jumped into the real hidden, love how I make up words sometimes. I'm talking faster than my brain, blocks in sales. These are the real hidden blocks in sales. This is about going deeper on those limiting beliefs. Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious. Why? In reality, the belief of you being worthy, that's really the number one limiting belief behind any objection, is someone feeling worthy enough to invest into themselves. And this is in B2B. And this is also in B2C, and definitely B2C, but also in B2B. And people don't believe that it's there until they're like, oh, it's nothing to do about the budget of the department. It's that person believing they're going to be able to pull off the ROI, or they believe that their department is worthy of investing that much. And I roll because money can always be made back, right? The perspective, knowing they are worthy. Do people even have their own perspective on worthiness? Hell yes, they do. And you better understand that from your perspective as the professional and from their perspective as a prospect, and their fear of being sold to, their fear of losing out, their fear of missing out, the fear of the cost of it, because they're not looking at the results. They're making a decision based on cost and not results. And they're not even thinking about how much it's been costing them up until this point. And then the lead having their own perspective on how you're selling or being sold to, right? How many of you have been sold to? Doesn't feel good. Versus serving a solution and assisting them and making a decision on their own, not regretting saying yes and not regretting saying no. When was the last time you even took like a deeper look on how this plays out? Because it's a huge role in your breakthroughs this year in both your business and your fulfillment in business and your fulfillment in life. So today I want to jump back into fulfillment because of February being an excellent month to invest with extra intention of your attention into extra self-love and really knowing in your heart space, not just in your head space, how worthy you are. And also how you can carry this overflow of magnetic energy everywhere you go. Because if we don't fill up our cup first, then we have nothing to give from, right? So I want to jump straight into why fulfillment, not just success. Because like I said before, I do not believe there is success without fulfillment, like period. Like fulfillment is the new success in my world and in my clients' world. And I see a lot of people shifting from that paradigm too, versus what old paradigms or old standards of success would be. I'll give a quick example that I was just having a conversation with a business bestie about this, and we were laughing because she has a huge, I mean, I don't know, less than 100, more than 50, to give you an idea. Louis Vuitton, Chanel purses, Gucci this, great. And it's beautiful. And I think it's fantastic. And she loves them. I love luxury too. I mean, hence, I don't even have my diamonds on my fingers today, but in my ears, like I love certain luxury things. And I was telling her, like, isn't it interesting how anybody can really buy them? Like, there's even resellers online that you could buy from. You gently use, like, why wouldn't you? Some of them sell their tags on it, so it's gently displayed. I couldn't even say used. And yet at a fraction of the cost. But yet there's a stigma around those brands of luxury. And then yet there are people, and we know this, and I'm not stereotyping anybody at all, right? That have them that can barely afford much, or should I say, could barely afford to purchase a home. And yet they value those material items more than investing in like real estate or themselves. And we know this because I can walk around. I live in Orlando. I can walk around an amusement park. And could I be assuming something? Sure. Could I be stereotyping a little bit? Sure. I mean, I'm human. We're making machines. But my whole point of this is it used to be that only a certain type of person could purchase these luxury items. And now, at least in America, As long as you have a credit card or you have some sort of payment, doesn't matter if you're living at home or in a house full of 5 other families, if you have the credit card or the cash, you can go purchase these items, right? So there's no like exclusivity to it. And yet people find fulfillment in it. And people label people successful when they have those things in their possession. Do we not? We still do. But some of us don't. If you don't carry one, I don't think you're not successful. If you do carry one, I don't think you or any more successful. Like, because none of that matters to me. What matters, and yes, I do have the items that I love in life. I've talked about my diamonds. I have my dream home. I have our boat. I have our car. I have my kids doing things that other kids' parents probably would think, I wouldn't let my kid ride horses. It's a money pit or whatever. Show horses and do all like, but it's not about that. It's not about the label of success. It's about the fulfillment of what I get to see and walk in and clean up horse poop and help my daughter grow her courage and her confidence on this big beast of an animal that just took off with her and she didn't know how to get him to stop one time during a show and she did the right thing, right? And my heart's pumping out of my chest and she took a couple deep breaths and a couple tears fell. She wiped them. She said, I want to get back in the ring, Mom. And I'm like, I don't want you to get back in the ring today. So I'm saying all this because fulfillment is the ultimate goal in business and life. I'm not saying it should be or it could be. It just is. It just is. And try that on for a day. Try that on for a month. Use the power prompts to help shift and pivot and reset if it's not. And don't shame or blame yourself or anyone, right? If anything that I say today sounds like I'm shaming or blaming, please message me, DM me. I'm open to the conversation because I'm trying my best to get these points across without offending anyone. But I also know sometimes the truth hurts. It's sometimes hard to share the truth, but it's also even harder at times to hear it. But yeah, how powerful it can be for a pivot and a breakthrough to potential, to possibility, especially in the space of uncertainty, right? So why fulfillment, not just success? And why should this be the ultimate goal in both business and life? Like, think about this. And I'm going to use some of my clients' examples, and many of my clients' examples I've lived through myself. So know when I'm sharing this, it's probably me, and my clients as well, right? So when you're a coach who scaled multiple 6 figures, but feel disconnected from their purpose, disconnected because the focus is all on impact and effort and driven work, resulting in financial growth, but yet no satisfaction or very little, because it's just like when you get married, the whole novelty of the wedding eventually wears off. When you're dating someone, quote unquote, the honeymoon phase, the novelty wears off. When you finally hit multiple 6 figures and you're like, I made it. But there's a disconnect from the why. The purpose is the why. How can we shift that focus to actually being intentional, working smarter, not harder? And this is where people come to me all the time and they're like, I can't, it's the content and it's not getting people. People aren't getting my content. I'm tired of doing content. I'm not a content person. I'm a coach. Stop with the content. Or let's get 5 to 10 to 20 nice little pieces out there that really speak to your ideal client in ways that really activate them to take action on. And then let's get rid of focusing on content, because we could do content all day, but it's busy work. Where does sales happen? Connection and conversion, conversation and conversion. That's the only way it starts. I mean, yes, you could pour money into ads that lead to conversation, that lead to conversion, but you don't have to invest. And I highly recommend that you don't invest a ton of money into ads out of the gate unless you have the resources to do, unless you have the funding and you've budgeted aside for that, then go for it. It's a really quick way, but know this, that's like a 6 to 12 month game. I don't care how good the agency is that you hire to run your ads. Just speaking from a person who's been behind companies who've made 20 million in a month, who've done hundreds of millions. It makes me salivate when I say that word because it's just I love money. I love money. When you love sales, you love money. And if you don't, you're lying. I also love more than the money is helping people with a solution, right? So A consultant who hit revenue goals but was consistently drained. This is one of my clients actually right now. They hit some revenue goals, but they're drained. And they're a little fearful of what's next because most of their business was through referral. And they went from 4K months to 40 plus K months in less than a year and wasn't even celebrating that. I'm like, why? Well, because we want to be 100K months. Well, yeah. Was there any gratitude in this? Gratitude is an energy exchange. But what we're doing is we're restructuring the offer to align with what? Their passion, their connection, the way they lead, what differentiates them. And this is creating what? Higher retention and also fulfillment. Because when people are happy and they're sticking around and they're re-signing up, not just month to month, but after a few months, like, hey, just so you have the peace of mind, we're not going anywhere and I'm not going to overbook and be like, oh, I have to drop you as a client because this person wants to pay me more. We're now extending out, a 6-month or 12-month agreement. Would you like to do that? If not, you can be month to month, but we're shifting to this model to create what? Certainty, grace, peace of mind. It's much more professional. Yeah, the month to month thing to get people in. So there's no attachment. But that's fine. But are we creating a business here? Or are we just nonchalantly month to month, we might just close our doors? That's the way that I look at it. And those are just two examples. I want to jump into a couple more here quickly because I just realized I'm at 24 minutes. I'm trying to keep this more succinct. How self-worth and intentional self-investment will create more energy and impact and magnetism. This is important because our tonality, what we say, and our mannerisms, and the energy, and the meaning behind the words all matter. I had a business owner who would hesitate to charge premium rates. They hated the word high ticket. And I'm like, that's fine. We can get rid of it. I never loved it either. I was doing quote unquote premium sales, which became high ticket sales before high ticket sales was even called high ticket sales. Right? So once this person overcame their worthiness block, which had to do on two major things, their money story and their worthiness story. And they were really tightly around. So what did we do? They went through money codes. I coached them around the gazillion questions that are in there that overwhelm so many people. But that's the point. If you're overwhelmed by the question, it's because there's work to do there. And I'm always grateful for that. It's like, okay, I don't have to be overwhelmed, but I get to do the work. And when I do the work and I grow through, instead of pushing through, grow through it, now we can raise our prices because we know the worth of the services we're providing. Once this person did that, it felt like magic is what they said. And I wish I would have got a testimonial, but I don't harp on my people for testimonials. When people are like, hey, I would love to give you a testimonial, I say, thank you very much. Right? So when people do this, they start attracting their dream clients. When I did this, I started attracting my dream clients. When I know I'm not attracting my dream clients, I go back and I do the work every single time. This work is not a check the box one and one. It's a consistent evolution of who we are as evolving as human beings, as business owners. So attracting those dream clients who actually value what experience you're going to have with them, what transformation, what results you're going to create together, and the certainty that you have behind that because you have conviction and you're not convincing. And it feels so much better. I had another coach who invested in personal development, and that was it, in self-care. And that was it. And they're like, my sales, my sales, my sales. And I was like, I think your sales are pretty good. What I think is going on is more of your inner game. And this is why I have my whole Rise Up program, Radical Intentional Self-Expansion, to unleash your unlimited potential. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you're coming to me with business. And I had a couple people 2 years ago reach out to me. I want sales. I want sales. I want sales. I'm like, well, there's going to be some inner work stuff we're definitely going to cover because when it pops up, I can't overstep it. Because if we find resistance somewhere and we don't take care of the resistance, no strategy I share or anybody else in the world shares with you is going to work till we work through the resistance. What we resist persists. I'm sure you guys have heard that saying before. So when we took care of the inner game, the subconscious mind, direct increase in client results, direct increase in referrals. Who wouldn't love that? This is where confidence now becomes magnetism and it works in your favor. All right. A couple more things here, and then I have to hop off. I want to go through, do I have time to go through? I do. I have time. I'm going to power through these last three just because I want to give you as much value as possible because these were really, really good other case studies that I came across just in the past 3 years. The myth of work-life balance and why integration is key for long-term success. Another coach stopped trying to separate business and personal life, right? So they were in this limbo where they were trying to like separate it in a way of how they were showing up. And I do highly recommend separating it in a way. By the way, don't take this the wrong way now that I realize how I'm saying this. There should be fulfillment going on separately in your personal life and separately in your business and separately in your volunteer work in the world and separately in your friend circle, separately in your family circle, right? And then there's going to be times where a lot of that can be integrated for sure. But this is what I mean by this. Instead of structuring work around their ideal lifestyle or their personal life around their work ideal lifestyle, we can increase productivity and happiness. What do I mean by this? So if I realize someone's creating some resistance or they're feeling a little stuck, quote unquote, stuck is not real. It's just a perception, right? Of like something's not working the way I wanted it to. So therefore I feel stuck, right? So it's like, well, instead, I had a client just on Monday where I said, instead, when you're working on this document or this next new program you're launching, this is what he's working on specifically. When you're feeling not motivated or creative or aligned to doing the work, break away and do something you love, even if it's for 20, 30 minutes. So for me, I'll go snuggle with my dog. I'll go outside, take a walk. I'll jump on the trampoline. I'll call a friend or a family member. I love to just talk upbeat. I'll listen to, 2 or 3 of my favorite songs, get up and dance and move my body. I'll do some somatic breath work. I have so many tools in my toolbox. I just kind of close my eyes and tap in. I'm like, what do I feel like right now that just would just get me excited and feel so good and yummy, right? So that's what this person was doing, right? So it's like, instead of saying, I have to power through this, how can you allow pockets to be able to do what you get to do, what to do, desire to do versus have to do? And that thing that you quote unquote have to do that you really still get to do will happen anyways. And you'll be so much more in flow and it'll happen so much faster. And it'll be way better than you've ever imagined. And then I had another service provider who was setting like these clear non-negotiables for her family time and creative pursuits because she realized like she was really good at blocking business time and blocking family time, but then she wasn't, her husband was like, what hobbies do you have? And she's like, well, the kids are my hobby. And like, that sounds weird, right? But for some people, I mean, I would, if I was a child, well, I am a child, but if I was a little kid again and my parents said I was their hobby, I'd be like, really? That's just weird. So her creative pursuit, she loved painting. She loved reading juicy novels. She loved going to ride her horse and she realized she was neglecting the horse. Her one friend kept bugging her to go play tennis because the TSA is here in our backyard. So leading to more presence at home and higher efficiency in business. And I can attest to this time and time again. This is why I like to use other clients' experiences because if I say this is what I do all the time and I'm getting all the results, great. But it works for other people too. Meaning when I make most of my sales, not just on my calls. So I would say a good 50% of my closes happen on calls. The other 50%, which I'm not closing at 100, but somewhere between 75 and 100%, happen when I'm not at my computer, not on my desk, and not on my phone. They happen when I'm jumping on the trampoline with my kids, or I'm at karate with my kids, or I'm at the horse stable barn with my kids, or I'm out at Universal Studios with my kids. I'll check my phone the next day and I'm like, oh, this payment came through. This payment, it's because I was out having fun. I was being fulfilled. So like ditch this myth of work-life balance. Plus nothing is ever in balance. Everything is flowing and changing, right? So nothing is ever in balance for a sustained time. Like you might be able to get on a teeter-totter. Remember as a kid, like those things that you sit on and you push, the other person goes up and the other person goes down if the weight is kind of similar. And if it's not, because I did a teeter-totter with my toddlers when I was little, they would never go down no matter, like I'd push, but I'd immediately fall back down, right? And they'd just giggle and laugh. So what I mean by that, like you can be in balance, quote unquote, technical balance, but energy is constantly shifting and changing, right? So it might be for a hot second or a few minutes, but it's never sustainable. So why even create resistance with that, right? Because if you're going to push and try so hard to create that balance, it can be more effort. It can be flow. So that's like my example of trying to create work-life balance is like trying to swim up a grand rapid river versus hopping in the inner tube and being intentional and strategic with just floating down the river instead. All right, 2 more here. The fulfillment formula. This is aligning ambition with personal joy. And this is how we avoid burnout. I'd like to say that I'll never burn out again because I'm very aware the 2 times I have burned out. And I love to say I have a track record of my clients not burning out as well. Some have prevented it altogether. Others have prevented a second time because some people come to me after a burnout. And that's just life, right? But I've done it twice. I didn't learn the lesson the first time, and I didn't have somebody to go to prevent the second time. Or I probably did have somebody. So let me take that back. I didn't allow somebody to be in my corner at the time. I'm stubborn and I'm a recovering high performer. And yes, like a recovering type A, control, all the things, right? So here's a quick story. I had a high achieving entrepreneur who shifted from chasing endless revenue goals to measuring success by fulfillment. And what this did is this led to smarter business decisions and sustained energy, meaning they shifted up their offer stack. They made decisions from a vision of 3 years from now, 5 years from now versus what was happening right now. Because if they kept making decisions from what was current, they're going to keep experiencing what was current, and they wanted to grow and scale, but they didn't know how to do that without doing more, which would lead to burnout. Okay, I'm going to leave that one at that because I got to wrap these last 3 up. Then I had a business owner who used to sacrifice their health for the hustle. This is where it affected me big time. Started prioritizing their well-being, and their business actually grew. They took more time for themselves away from the business and focused on themselves, and their business grew. And then this also allowed them to show up more powerfully. They also were hiring people. They were buying back their time. We can't, when I say buy back time, I mean future time, because we can't literally go back and buy time. It doesn't matter how much money you have, time is over. The last 35 minutes, I will never get back. I'm okay with that because I feel like I poured into you. So it was worth my time investment. And if anybody takes one of these ideas and says, wow, I can relate to that, how can I shift and change this? Then I feel like I've won for the day. The sacrifice. People who sacrifice their most vital asset to me is their health. Like it's the most riskiest thing you could ever do. Invest tens of thousands of dollars into your business, hundreds of thousands. Not that risk is like nothing compared to being risky and sacrificing your health. All right, the last one here is practical strategies to stay connected to what truly matters while building your business. All right, this one's big. I had another coach who implemented a weekly CEO reflection hour to ensure their business decisions aligned with their core values, preventing that mission drift, their values. And what do I mean by this? So she basically took the power prompts and she did them every week. I don't recommend that, but it works for some people. So they really are aligned. These power prompts allow you to have the confidence, the clarity to continue with decision making. And decision making means saying yes to something new or pivoting when something isn't working. Like remember I talked about in January, there's a fine line between perseverance and insanity. These power prompts keep you from the insanity, but allow you to really maintain and sustain the momentum of perseverance. And then the last one on this is a consultant set up automated systems and delegated tasks to free up time for what? Passion projects, business passion projects, personal passion projects, keeping their motivation high and business thriving. And this particular person actually started a nonprofit, and it blew my mind. I was so inspired because that wasn't on her 3-year vision that she had with me when we did a vision activation together. But after year 1, she's like, yeah, I think the overflow, it's calling me. Like I've been donating to these other nonprofits, but I want even bigger overflow to really dump into a bigger, because there's a gap. I see a gap here in this part of the world. And it was for women in domestic violence. So I share all that with you because at the end of the day, this really, really is about what? Fulfillment. and why fulfillment matters more than anything. Meaning, I don't care if it's a bad day, if it's a good day. Like, were you able to create pockets of fulfillment for yourself? Were you able and willing to create and experience pockets of fulfillment for you and other people, prospects, leads, clients, family members, neighbors? Because we don't know what tomorrow holds, homies. And we all know we don't get out of this experience alive, right? And the biggest thing that I'll say over and over, and you see it on my quote, you see it all over my social media, is what? What you are not changing, you're choosing. So just stop. Stop already. If you're not happy with that, maybe it's something we need to look at. Maybe it's something we need to change. And if you are happy with that, what else? What else? What else? What? Because there's always something else. Just like my current client, like I said, 4K months last year, already at almost 40, 45K months consistently, and still isn't celebrating any of those milestones because she's already focused on the what else. And that type of mentality leads directly to burnout and starts to stifle fulfillment drastically, right? So if anybody is hearing this live or replay today and you're just feeling that like, oh, this is all good, but I have no idea where to and what to take action on, power prompts will help. Grab the power prompts. It's the last day of the month. You should be using them every month. It's actually a requirement for goal attainment, not just every quarter, but every month, right? And then I also have my 5-week sprint, right? So that's 5 weeks. It's a really accelerated coaching opportunity. You will get money codes, you will get sales codes. We will do 3 one-on-one calls. We'll go over your magnetic offer stack. We'll review some of your live calls on a call review. We get to use these one-on-one calls however you want. And the best part is I'm in your back pocket, literally voice memoing back and forth in real time. So if you're having a challenge or you're struggling with something related to your mindset or strategy or whatever it might be with your positioning, especially when we're talking about connection and conversion, I'm right there pretty much in real time, Monday through Friday, which it doesn't get better than that. And then we can decide from there, do we want to recreate that? Do we want to commit to 6 months? Do we want to commit to 12 months? So the 5-week sprint is going on. You can DM me on LinkedIn or message me. Actually, that's the only place right now. My Instagram is still in the hands of a hacker. So if you do follow me on Instagram, please do not message me there. But please go and like all the things that are still there, hopefully there, that have to do with me and not Bitcoin, because I am not doing Bitcoin. Not that I poo-poo Bitcoin, but do not respond to anybody on Instagram from me right now until I get it back. I think Meta, fingers crossed, is so close to helping me get that back. So I'm going to leave you with so much love. And you know what I'm going to say, power prompts, power prompts, power prompts, 5-week sprint. If you're feeling that nudge, let's have a conversation and get you going today. All right. Bye for now. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of February.